So I'm here today with Dr. Myrna Keough. We've been having a little too much fun before the interview started, so we realized we had to press record and start the interview for real, so you guys can enjoy and get to know this incredible human being who we're here happy to talk to. Is it doctor or doctor? Because you have two doctorate degrees, so we might call you doctor.
I
right?
do.
Cool. All right. Do you have any honorary degrees that we have to add to? So just to let you know, if you don't know who she is, you need to know who she is. Myrna Keough is a conductor, composer, and educator. Those are three big things. Dedicated to the renewal of sacred music and the cultivation of beauty in the liturgical music of the Catholic Church. She serves as Associate Professor of Sacred Music and Director of Liturgy at Mount Angel Seminary, a Benedictine seminary in Mount Angel, Oregon, where she also founded and directs the Mount Angel Chamber Choir. Pretty busy. Dr. Keough holds a doctorate of sacred music, and there's another doctor there, Doctor Ministry as well, too, right?
That's
and
right.
a whole bunch of other degrees. And oh, by the way, you're a mother and you've got a family, 5 kids, is that right? So just
That's right.
while you're at it, there's a whole lot more in the bio, but you're also a composer and as an educator, but it all seems to be integrated, as my guess.
Yes.
Tell me about the integration of all those roles: conductor, composer, educator. And by the way, and I do believe I'm a parent as well. Being a parent is also part of that integration.
It's interesting because sometimes when I describe what I do, it sounds like I'm doing a million different things. But in fact, it's all sort of the same thing from different angles. The directing that I do is often directing related to the liturgy, and the teaching that I do at the seminary is also about the liturgy, and the composing that I do comes back to the liturgy. So I would say kind of the guiding principle in all of it is the liturgy and liturgical music and that kind of thing. The one aspect that's maybe a little bit off to the side is the chamber choir, because that is a big 40 voice choir.
Nice. It's
not liturgical. It is, we sing sacred music, but it is more of and in a way it's never, it might not be specifically liturgical, but I believe that a choir that sings sacred music, it is still entirely directed towards prayer, even though it's not in a liturgical context. So yeah, it sounds disorienting, and it can be sometimes. Probably the most disorienting part are those 5 kids, but the work is an integrated kind of project from morning till night. So yeah.
Yeah, I bet that is. Tell me about your family a little bit. How old are your? What age range do you have with your kids?
Yeah, so my youngest is 10, and then
Right.
My oldest is 19. So we've got quite a range. And my husband is actually works at the seminary too. He's the academic dean. He's recently ordained a deacon. So yeah, we've been working
Amazing.
here together at the seminary since 2011. So it's really neat to be able to do that with him, and it's a blessing.
Yeah, so your whole family is really involved with all of it through quite a bit.
That's
Yeah.
true.
Yeah, I can relate with that too. My kids are in a similar range, 4, not 5, but
4.
And no doctorate degrees here, so you're way ahead. I do want to talk about something that I found very interesting, and it was also your approach. I know in November, I believe you had a seminar for the Sacred Music Institute of America. And it was referred to as a pastoral approach to transforming parish music to a more sacred style. I think this is a really, really important topic, because we can talk all day about, particularly with people that we agree with, what the liturgy should be like and what we'd like to see and what we prefer to do. And I've worked in parishes for like 30 years before coming to the cathedral, so I know what it's like to be in the trenches. And then you have pastoral realities, parishes closed, you have all kinds of histories. And what's desperately in need is there can be a lot of tensions, which is an understatement. A lot of tensions where you want to have some kind of reform, some kind of get things in a certain direction, but you're also dealing with human beings and you're dealing with real
Yeah.
people. And so I was intrigued by some of what you wrote about your seminar, which offers a practical pastoral roadmap for transforming parish music to a more authentically sacred style. Now that's a good intro, but then you get real with it. Rooted in the church's liturgical tradition, yet sensitive to parish life and pastoral realities. And then even more real is a gradual multi-year plan that fosters beauty, reverence, and congregational participation, careful repertoire choices, and then you get into that inspires rather than alienates.
Yeah.
Whoa, man, you got the amen corner going. I mean, that is hard. But that's what we need. That's important, because if you go in with, like a bull in a china shop, you say this has got to go, that's got to go, we got to do this. You might be being right is one thing. You got to have the support of the people. So
Yeah.
I want to hear about your approach to this, how you came to this. The multi-year approach is something that I think is also important. You got to have the patience. Please
Right.
talk about this, because I want to hear about it.
Okay,
Yeah.
I will. So I have been working in seminaries for almost 20 years now. I'm working at this Mount Angel Seminary right now, but I was working at the American College in Belgium, which it's
Right.
closed now, a seminary in Belgium. And so for all these years, I spent a lot of time with seminarians from all kinds of different dioceses. So it's kind of interesting when you're teaching this subject, which is liturgical music and liturgy. They all have different bishops. They have very different. Every diocese has a very different kind of flavor, and not only that, one minute the seminarians might have one bishop, and the next minute they have a different bishop.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, also I work in the parish on the weekends, and so I was having this experience of hearing seminarians' frustrations, their desires and that kind of thing, but then also being in the parish and seeing like, oh wow, this is really difficult. And that's one of the reasons why I do work in the parish. I'm busy, but I kind of want to keep my boots on the ground and really know what's going on. What are the struggles, what are the challenges, and that kind of thing. And I realized that a lot of tension can happen when a music director is trying to do something and the pastor is not supportive. That's a disaster right there.
Yeah.
Another thing is a pastor trying to do something and the bishop isn't supportive. Like there's a whole chain of issues there. And then, a music director might be doing something that the pastor is supportive of, but the congregation isn't supportive. And so it's really, really difficult.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot of young priests go into their parishes just all fired up from what they've learned at seminary and that kind of thing, and then they go in and without pastoral sensitivity just cause more hurt and confusion than good. They're frustrated, and I thought, that's really not what the Lord has in mind. We need to be loving, we need to be patient and kind and that kind of thing. And how do we do that and yet be true to what is right and good and beautiful? So our Archbishop here in Portland, Archbishop Sample, wonderful liturgist, and has been just fantastic in this diocese, wrote a letter called Sing to the Lord a New Song.
Yeah.
And it was right before COVID hit. And it was...
I do remember that letter, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It was a pretty strong statement about, a more traditional, a more sacred approach to liturgical music, and it got quite specific. And the diocese, there's a lot of excitement, and it wasn't all good. It was some people were excited, some people were angry, and I was working in one parish just as an organist at that point, and I could see, I just kind of sat back like, whoa, this is really tough. People walking out of choir practice and really angry, stuff like that. And so it made me think like there's got to be a way. So I went to a seminar with a couple of colleagues who I really admire, and they had worked with the Archdiocese on, how do we help priests take this letter and implement it into the parish. And I went, as per usual. It was just me and a bunch of priests, but I'm kind of used to that now because it's just kind of been my life over the years. And I kind of took the ideas and developed that into this plan, where just using the flow of the liturgical seasons, and guided by the principles of chant in the Roman Missal, to just gently bring a parish to a different place, which and with a lot of attention to, talking points, even ways that you can talk to people about it without being adversarial, and, ways of talking about it, even as, here's things that we get to do. Here's, this treasury that we're dipping into, and that kind of thing. So, that's kind of the approach that I described in that course.
You mentioned something also in writing about, it's not so much about removing music, but adding or expanding the repertoire. And I think it's important also to communicate that. So tell me how you like to see going about doing that.
Yeah. So one thing that can cause a lot of pain is when a priest will hear the parish choir sing something that he hates, and then afterwards go and tell them how upset that made him.
Right.
And it's very painful. And so one of the things that I encourage my students when we're studying the liturgy is, instead of that approach, work first on adding beautiful things, adding some Gregorian chant, adding some polyphony without removing things, because that's when people get most upset. Beauty, of course, is the greatest point of conversion. So carefully preparing also for when you add those things in, so that they don't, fall apart and people are like, why in the world would you do that? But, you hear a simple chant that's done really well, or some simple polyphony. It's a very, it's wonderful. And then encourage pastors to work with their musicians on a long-term plan of like, here's the music that we're doing over the next few years. This is the music. Here are the hymns that we want to take out. Here's the ones that we want to add, and kind of have a gradual plan of how to get to that without, a drastic change.
Sure. And I think a lot of that has to do with, just examining the theology of certain hymns, which can help communicate, help build the case on the one hand, and perhaps if there's something you need to kind of gently phase away.
Right.
I think also I've found, in this, it seems as though you've learned a lot about human nature on top, not just about music. You've studied music, right? You've studied the liturgy, we know the documents, you know that. And that's not enough. As we say in the, something more is required,
Yeah.
And you've got, and we need to study those things. You have to, and you've got to be good. And also, it sounds like it requires a lot of not only pastoral flexibility, but musical flexibility.
Yes.
Being able to kind of do different styles pretty well, particularly if you want to bring things along. That's hard, and there's not as many folks who do that, but that personal interior willingness to do it for the greater good.
Yes. Yeah, a flexibility and a real patience, a real patience for even, here at the seminary, we've changed a lot of things, but I think the older I get, the more patient I get too. Yes, I believe firmly that this is what we need to do, and we'll get there, but we'll do it well and slowly and carefully, and pastorally. So maybe that's something that we
Yeah.
kind of learn as we get older too. More seasoned sensitivity to others.
I find that often the word tensions come up again. We could put a more euphemistic or a stronger word, just emotions. People are real human beings with real hearts,
Yeah,
and issues or personal things often end up playing out in the liturgy.
yeah,
When hopefully they don't, but they can, and
yeah,
it's often with people who are deeply involved in their parish communities, deeply invested, and
yeah,
they're the ones showing up every week. And
yeah,
it's like I said, there's a time where you're dealing with human nature. As number one, we're here to save souls. So,
yeah.
um,
Absolutely.
did I do mode 4A correctly, or something like that? Or I've often found that if you can bring your congregation along or get the support of a congregation, you can really accomplish far more than you might imagine.
Right.
You mentioned the pastor's support,
Yeah.
also majorly key, and
Yeah.
I think we've all had different experiences of that.
Yeah.
Dr. Theodore Marier said you need three things to be successful. The first is a supportive pastor, second supportive pastor, third supportive pastor. So
Exactly.
then you can really fly. But you gotta get your congregation, your people. You're there to serve the people. You're serving God
Yeah.
to serve the people. They got to be brought along too.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I mean, for a lot of pastors, maybe it's just too stressful, or they feel ill prepared to argue those points, which is one of the reasons why they don't want it. But as I often say to my seminarians here, it's very clear in church documents that it is the pastor's responsibility, the music in the parish. So they need to be supportive of these things, but you can't. You have music directors have the pastors that you have. So, and sometimes for these guys, they're like, well, but even my bishop wouldn't allow this, even though I'm reading this in this document, my bishop wouldn't. And I said, well, he will make that decision, and he is but it doesn't mean you can't do beautiful, sacred, and worthy music. You have to work within the confines that you have and be respectful of the hierarchy. That's part of what being Catholic is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's absolutely amazing. I think another important perspective. I understand you're on the board of Oregon Catholic Press.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's a whole nother level too. And you've got Archbishop
Yeah.
Sample there in Oregon.
Yeah.
He really has authority over his diocese, and it's something that we have to remember is that each bishop really has ultimate responsibility and authority over texts and
Yeah.
music in their diocese.
Yeah.
Tell me what that experience is like, because I'm very curious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I'm on that board with Archbishop Sample. He's the chair of the board.
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why I'm there, to support him. And he and I are very like-minded when it comes to liturgical music. And so he and I have been able to offer a perspective. From my perspective, I'm able to offer to Oregon Catholic Press the perspective of our upcoming seminarians and our future priests, who tend to be very conservative. And yeah, so I think that has actually been really, being on a board is difficult. There's lots of
Yeah.
difficult conversations and trying to, bring different perspectives together. But it's been a real privilege for me to get to know the wonderful people at OCP and hear their perspective and how, the changes in the liturgy and with Archbishop Sample, what that's meant to them. And yeah, they're really working on a lot of wonderful things at OCP, actually really new things, where they've got this choral series called Trinitas, which is all very traditional, beautiful choral music. And they have another choral music section of Trinitas, which is all based on chant melodies, and they have some great composers who are coming on for that. So they're really exploring some of this new direction, and I'm excited for them to be doing that, and just have been there with Archbishop Sample to encourage them in that, and I'm excited to see what they do. So
and that's a big deal, being arguably one of the largest, if between them and GIA, the really largest and influential publishers. I think if one pays attention closely, there have been some trends or expansions of repertoire with some of the mainstream publishers.
Absolutely.
Between actually, there's a much broader, if one examines even with OCP, there's a much broader sampling of say antiphon settings of different styles, choral styles, and also in different languages, Spanish, English, and other forms, which that trend began a few years back. So there may be others to follow.
I think we don't even. I think there's a lot of new thinking happening right now, and that we may not see what that looks like in some of these bigger publishers for several years, but I'm excited for kind of this new approach and an openness to these kind of discussions.
I have another question, because you work with seminarians, so you're right there on it. And I work a little bit, but not every day like you do. Where you're seeing the trend, the overall general trend. I know we've used the word conservative, but I think that's almost an unfair term in terms of for lack of a better term. I do think they're more liturgically minded, and then are unfairly judged as, quote, conservative, whereas many of them, like any other young priest, has a learning curve with pastoral approaches and responsibilities. And I know a lot of young priests who may be more conservative, for lack of a better word, in liturgy, but incredibly pastoral, and others who could maybe use a little, just like any priest of any generation, you've got to grow and mature and get into that. What do you see with that aspect of it? Because I'm thinking, we're how many decades now past the Second Vatican Council? We're pretty far along now.
We're pretty far along.
We're 70 years after. Just know, I mean, I can't believe I'm saying that. It's just amazing to think that. And so we should be paying attention and absorbing the fruits of Vatican II, and understanding that continuity. What's different and where the continuity is. How do you see that happen? That which is not mutually exclusive of other pastoral things. Tell me how you think that has come about, or why that's come about, or is it just time? Why is that happening?
Why is that happening? Well, one thing that I always find encouraging. My husband is a church historian in the patristic period and has studied. His postdoc is in Episcopal elections, and I don't know, like just all kinds of really boring stuff. But anyway, he.
Your husband's boring. Okay.
That's what my wife says too. Off about Vatican II, he's like, Myrna, it takes 500 years for us to take in a council. Calm down. Like,
he's right.
Yeah, just keep telling me that. Keep telling me that. So, he's got that perspective. But I think it's really interesting. Even I would say over the 20 or so years that I've been working in the seminary, I've seen a huge kind of change. Of course, every seminarian is unique and different, but the seminarians that have been, coming in the last, 5 to 10 years, they are really many are very motivated by the Mass, by the liturgy, and wanting to celebrate the Mass. And not that, that isn't something that priests haven't always wanted, but there is an increased sort of desire to for the liturgy to be that point of evangelization in the culture, and so they're motivated to understand how they can be a celebrant who can celebrate the liturgy in a beautiful and worthy way. And nothing is more important than that the demeanor and the solemnity of the pre-celebrant. Doesn't matter how beautiful the music is, that's just the most important thing. So I think it's really exciting. I think we don't know the impact that that's going to have on the church yet. I think we won't know for another 10, 20 years, but it is going to be very transformative, I think, in a beautiful way for the church, because that is the mindset of our seminarians.
That's amazing. Yeah, the evangelization and really truly paying attention to how you're acting in the person of Christ, and that's profound. It's hard for me to wrap my own head around that. Yeah. There are also those who react differently from different generations. Someone of my generation, I'm as old as Vatican II. I was born 3 days before Pope Paul VI promulgated the new rite. So you can do the math there. 1969, April 3rd, 1969.
You're Vatican II.
And so I grew up with the felt banners, and where a lot of and that was the least of it. But at the same time, I also very grateful for the parish I grew up in. The Mass was still the Mass, still learning the rhythms of the Mass, and I have this now is understanding the struggle, how difficult it was for those generations of musicians and priests to because they had really no resources. They needed settings of English. We needed them yesterday. Theatre Maria was the only one really doing it in a continuous style of Gregorian chant, but a lot of things changed. Yeah. The people who came before us had a hard time. Yeah. And also they were experimenting with other things, and some of us may be critical of that, but we've built upon that, and now we've had several decades to say, okay, what was really valuable? Time to vet that. What can we move on from? What did we miss? Yeah. And I'm hoping some of the fruits of that, and it's not mutually exclusive to, as you talk about, and this is why I love your approach, it's not mutually exclusive to love the beauty of the liturgy, but with the heart of a shepherd. Yeah. With the heart of evangelization, which is really far more important than my music list this week.
Absolutely. Yeah. And one of the things that I think about sometimes is my master's thesis was on Tridentine reforms, musical reforms in Trent. And I'm always amazed when I teach the history of sacred music, and we look at the historical documents and we look at the different councils, that this is just nothing new. Like, this is, we're not uniquely struggling with trying to figure out the appropriate music of the Mass. Coming out of Trent, they had all these bar songs being sung in Mass, and it's just crazy stuff where you think, oh, Trent, that they had the perfect nope, it was the same old. So we should be sobered and comforted by that. I think that this is
we're not
part
so special.
Of our tradition to fight the good fight and continue on. Yeah.
We're not as special as we think we are.
No, exactly.
And Pope Pius X, of course, had to kind of reel things back in a bit. I mean, the general thing of the Viennese masses, which were based on the very much the popular opera, and that done nearly as well. Not everybody was Charles Gounod, writing a Mass of Saint Cecilia. And he's like, listen, we got to get back to Gregorian chant, and we forget that too. You
Absolutely.
Listen back to some old recordings. There are some rhythms that sound really bizarre to us today. He's taking us another, God bless Salem and all the folks, and that's many styles right there. So
absolutely.
The church is far more fluid than we sometimes like to imagine, I guess, in our very small, limited lifetimes.
100%. Yeah.
But the ultimate goal is all your work. You're trying to praise God and instill that in your family and your kids. Or do any of your kids sing, or are they involved in the liturgy at all, or how are they?
Yeah, they are. They are. They
God
don't
bless
have a choice.
Yep, that's right.
They are.
That's
they
right.
Are musicians as well, and help me out.
So you have the Keough Schola. going?
That we do actually.
Good.
We
Good.
do. Yeah, the vigil mass. It's
Very good.
my mom and my kids, and yeah, so it's pretty fun.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
it's
we got to get the Keough Scholar with the Clark Scholar if East Coast ever meets West Coast.
I think that would be pretty fun.
Yeah, we
love it.
get a good sound going.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and they grow up. The thing is, this younger generation too. They grow up with a different perspective, dealing a lot with also Pori Cantores. We've been
Yes.
helping with that, and I love to quote my friend Michael Olbash, who teaching these kids Gregorian chant and teaching them.
I know Michael.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Well, who doesn't? Everybody has to know
Yeah.
Michael. Michael's a legend,
Yeah,
and he
is.
says they don't know that it's hard.
Right.
They don't know it's supposed to be hard. Don't tell
No.
them. The adults think it's
Right.
no, it's hard. The kids don't, and they take to it. But their perspective is a little different, and
Yeah.
I'm glad that they are going to appreciate some of the things that took us a little longer. I think from my own perspective, as time went on and I started to learn more about Gregorian chant, and then Solem putting out the Gregorian Missal for Sundays, which was an adaptation to the Novus Ordo.
Yeah.
And I was like, wait a minute, you mean this is our music? This is ours? This belongs to us? And
Yeah.
this is our music, uniquely our Roman Catholic music.
Yeah.
Those can be life-changing.
Yeah,
It certainly was for
absolutely.
me.
100%. Yeah. No, I'm very blessed to my high school children go to a Chesterton Academy, and yeah, it's just such an incredible. I know they're kind of spreading around the country now, but to hear those high school students singing Gregorian chant and Palestrina, and it's just no big deal to them. They just do it. What a blessing.
And they're singing the sacred word. They're singing the true texts as opposed to thoughts and impressions or anything else. We can go on.
Right.
Here's the thing. We're gonna have to do part 2 of this one of these days, because we're gonna have to ratchet this one down a little bit, because we're gonna. I feel like we just sort of got started, but I'm really glad to hear of your work. Your compositions. Where can people find them?
Yeah, I have a website. It's myrnakeoughmusic.com. So help yourself. The music is all free.
Amazing.
And
Myrna Keough. MyrnaKeough.com.
MyrnaKeoughmusic.com. It's just my name. You'll find it. Yeah.
Myrna Keough Music. Okay, very good.
Yeah.
And spell your name out just so everyone's got that.
Yeah, so Myrna, Myrna, and Keough is Keough.
And
Good luck with that. Just
we'll-
put all the vowels in.
Yeah, and we'll put, just like chant. Put the vowels in.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
consonants. You're good. We'll put that in. We'll put that link in too. It's
Sounds
really
good.
really great talking to you. And till next time, we're gonna do that.
Nice to meet you too,
Good,
Richard.
good.
Okay, sounds good.
So I'm gonna. I'm still recording, but we'll trim that down a little bit.
Sounds good.
And I'm looking at my timers. There's 1 minute 30 seconds left.
That's so fun. Well,
And,
thank you so much,
yeah.
Richard. That was super nice to chat with you.
Yeah.
I'd love to get to know your work more too. It's
Yeah.
just so neat to hear a little bit of what you're doing there.
Yeah, I like the Myrna Keough music because I do a similar RJC Cecilia music. That's another.
Oh,
it's not my
nice.
name, but
Okay, I'll have to look that up.
yeah, it's. I was at Saint Cecilia Parish for a long time, and
Okay.
I started there before I came here, and I've done other stuff with Jesuits, but I've been in the trenches. It's crazy. We have to continue the conversation. And,
I would love to. That would be really nice.